Hello everyone, welcome to your very first Python tutorial. And in this tutorial I'll mostly be giving you a background of what Python is and a little bit of code. So first of all, Python is an extremely popular language typically used in the business world. And right now I'm using Python 3. This is a pretty recent version, at least in this time period. I'm not sure when you're watching this video, but currently Python 3 is the Python to get. And so let me tell you how this works. Whenever you download Python, you want to download at python.org, and Python scripts are read by a Python interpreter that will be downloaded to your computer. And what I'm using is called idle. Now idle is basically the Python interface, which allows you to quickly test out code. This is perfect for beginning and learning Python. But if you want to create a Python script, you must download the interpreter, and you can write your Python code anywhere, but you have to save the Python code as whatever the name of the script is, .py. So for an example, if you're using Notepad, then you'll notice that usually whenever you save a Notepad document, it will save it as .txt. Well, instead of .txt, you want to save it as .py, and that will create a Python script. And so whenever you run Python scripts using idle, usually your Python programs will be run in this area right here while I'm waving my mouse. But if you do not have idle opened up and you click on a Python script, it will be run in command line. And so that's a little bit of background and useful information. And keep in mind I'm using Python 3. So first of all, what we'll be doing is we are going to do some things with the idle, or the Python interface. So a very simple command, if you ever want to print anything to the screen, you'll want to use the print statement, and that's pretty common with scripting languages like Python, Ruby, etc. Now whenever you print things to the screen, it outputs words to the screen. Pretty simple enough. But whenever you want to output something to the screen, it has to be in parentheses. This is something new with Python 3. If you're running Python 2, then you do not need these parentheses. And if you want to output text, you put quotation marks. And we're just going to do a default hello world. And close your quotation marks. And again, just to put it in your mind, you have to have parentheses around everything you print out, unless you're running like Python 2.6 or something. So print hello world, and you'll see that it automatically prints hello world. That means you did it correctly. However, if you do not include the parentheses and we just try to put quotations hello world, if we try to press enter, we'll get an invalid syntax. Anything that you see that's red means an error. Now, this is just a quick tutorial. I want to show you how to create a real Python program. So if you want to edit it in idle, then go up to File, New Window, and this will create a nice little text editor for you to write Python code. So let's do a little practice with our print statement. Print hello. Remember to close in parentheses. Print world, and it can be anything you want. And just a little for experimentation, let's try not doing quotation marks, and print out a mathematical expression. 2 plus, underscore, plus 4. And we're going to go ahead and see what happens. So we typed in all of our code, and so to run this code, go ahead and click Run Module. Save. And you have to make sure to save your file before you run it. I'm just going to call this test. And it's going to save it in your Python folder that you downloaded. So go ahead and save. And you'll notice that in idle, right here, it runs your program. And if you go into the folder and you click on your Python script without running idle, it'll run this in the command line. And so let's take a look at what happened. For one moment, let me run it again to show you. Sorry about that, it just didn't respond too well. So you'll notice here, let me try to pull up the code as well. Now right here you can see we print hello, we printed world, and we printed 2 plus 4, and the output was hello, world, and 6. Now notice that we did not have quotation marks around the 2 and the 4. Now let's try putting quotation marks around this. And in this case, you'll see that it literally prints out 2 plus 4. Here, I'll scroll this up so you can see better. But you'll see that it literally puts out 2 plus 4. So with this, we can infer that whenever you put quotation marks around something, it prints it out literally, like what it actually is. If we don't include quotation marks, it will print it out like an expression, like a math problem. It will read it mathematically. So if we go ahead and run it again, we will get 6 again without the quotation marks. So always remember, whenever you run it with quotation marks, it reads it literally. But whenever you put it without quotation marks, it reads it as a mathematical expression. But just to show you guys, what would happen if we did not put the quotation marks around world? World itself is not a mathematical expression. So we're going to go ahead and see what it does. And we get an error message, world is not defined. World is not a mathematical expression. It's not a variable. It doesn't mean a number or anything. That's why we get an error. So whenever you print things to the screen without quotation marks, you have to make sure that it's either a mathematical expression or a variable, which we haven't quite gotten into yet. But we'll get into variables possibly in the next episode. Or tutorial, I should say. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I promise you more code will come in through the next tutorials. And my name is Zachary, and I bid you farewell.